Cool.
Well, hi, Maddie. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I'm very excited to chat about your story because you are the first person with EOE that we've had on the podcast to talk to. So I'll give you a chance to share a little bit more about who you are and what you've dealt with, and then we'll dive right in.
Sure. So my name is Maddie. I'm the owner and creator of the blog Eosinophilic Chick on Instagram. I continuously advocate for the condition I was diagnosed with in 2021 called eosinophilic esophagitis. It's changed my life for the better, for worse. So it's definitely something I'm super passionate about and dedicate a lot of my time towards outside of work and day-to-day responsibilities. And some things about myself. I'm in the Philadelphia area. I'm in my mid-20s. And some things I like to do besides advocate for EOE, I enjoy running, meal prepping, and going down the shore as much as I can in New Jersey during the summers.
Well, I know in our first conversation that I had mentioned to you that their running was the first thing that really like caught my attention because I was like, wait a second. I know that she's dealing with something and she's still running. So like I need to have a conversation with her about like how she makes it all work. And I know you've had a lot of like ups and downs and you're currently doing pretty well with your medications in the navigation of day to day and that management. So when you think back to where you were in the beginning of your diagnosis, when you had symptoms and you're trying to like live your life in there, how did that happen for you? Was it sudden onset, or was this something that kind of you were dealing with for a while and the symptoms just started to get worse?
So I think it started in my young childhood, but I learned how to live with it and continue to dismiss it as much as I can. So
Hmm.
I would say maybe when I was 10, 12 years old, we called it my thing. And I don't know what the medical terminology behind that is, but I would eat dinner and have to get up and vomit ultimately until I
Ugh.
could continue to eat my dinner. Most folks naturally think eating disorder, maybe there's something
Uh-huh.
wrong with how I'm digesting my food, especially during that critical age of my life.
Yeah.
But from there, I just learned how to live with it, brushed it off until my 20s, where it pretty much stopped everything I could do in terms of thriving day to day. What's unique is what I would tell doctors with my first symptoms that I've picked up on appeared during the pandemic when we were really paying attention to some of the
Hmm.
things we're feeling to make sure, do I have COVID? And I continuously felt
Yeah.
shortness of breath, and I would describe to my doctors, it felt like you were going on a run and you couldn't get that breath of air that like just kind of relaxed everything. I always felt like I was gasping for that one extra air, that
Mm-hmm.
one breath of air. And turns out I was choking, which I didn't know. It was a form of food impaction. I just thought it was related to my airways. So definitely
That's
have
so
went from
interesting.
0 to 100. It was crazy.
That's so interesting. And actually hearing you say that, I feel so validated in myself, even though I don't have that diagnosis where I would go to the doctor and I always felt like, I don't know if this is similar, but it sounded similar in the way you described it, where like I always felt like I had like a brick on my chest. And if I kind of laid back a little bit, it felt like that brick got heavier, heavier, heavier. Or
Yes.
like I'd have to sit straight up and try to get a breath. And I'm asthmatic, but I'm very mild asthma. So everyone's always like, oh, it's just asthma kicking up, or oh, it's just allergies, or oh, it's just this. And then, you go through all the tests and everyone's like, you're fine. I'm like, I'm not, but thank you, and nobody ever did anything. But talking about that last breath, it was like, if I could visualize it, it would feel like someone's holding the top of my lungs and like just squeezing right there where like that last little breath would be right
Yes.
there. And you just couldn't get it. And you're like, trying to expand everything. You're trying to relax your diaphragm. You're doing breathing exercises. You do all this stuff and like it feels a little bit better. And then all of a sudden you're like, crap, it's back. And you
Exactly.
can't get that breath. It's painful too. I don't know if it's the same, but that's all I was thinking. I'm like, damn, girl understands me.
Yeah, I would continue to yawn, like pretty much try to yawn to get that extra breath of air.
Yeah.
And my close ones were like, "Are you so tired?" And I'm like, "No, I literally can't breathe. I can't breathe."
I
And
feel so
the
seen.
folks that were in my inner circle, they knew eventually. They're like, "You ate something, like, something's off today. You're not tired. You
Yeah,
can't breathe."
that's so interesting. Did you ever find with, as I'm sitting here, I'm, like, so conscious, like, "Okay, I have to, like, slow down and take a deep breath as we're talking about it because 'cause I'm,
Yeah,
like, hyper aware of it now."
me too.
But were there specific foods or food groups that made it worse for you that you picked up on? Or because I know, again, that there's when you don't have a diagnosis, we always are kinda like, "Let's remove everything from our diet and, like, figure it out," and tend to make it harder for ourselves when we're trying to figure it out. But, there's a couple other people that, like, I follow on social media, I know that are gluten-free and dairy-free, and that helps their EOE symptoms. Is that kind of track for you too?
Yes, so starting out, my sister has type 1 food allergies, and we thought, "Let's cut out everything that
Mm,
she's working with because there probably is some sort of parallel." So, without any science or, proof through the
mm,
process of managing my symptoms, I cut out dairy, eggs, and shellfish and found that
mhm.
to be partially effective. It made
Okay.
things slightly better, but it didn't necessarily squash out everything altogether.
Yeah, it's it's gotta be hard, especially when you're younger. I've talked to more people now, because I got like most of my diagnoses as an adult. So I was a relatively healthy kid up until my teen years. So like I didn't go through a lot of that. And the more I've talked to people, I'm like, I'm so sorry because that's not the type of thing you're supposed to be going through ever, let alone as a kid when you just want to like enjoy your life, you want to eat junk food, you want to just kind of be. And there's all these other things that are just interacting and making just being and functioning and trying to understand like what's happening in your own body. And like we as adults barely understand that, let alone in our younger years.
Yeah, I can't even imagine going through the dietary portion of my treatment. I have so much respect for the children growing up with dietary restrictions, like the simplicities of going to a birthday party and not thinking twice about getting dessert
Yeah.
at the end.
Mm-mm.
Now that I found out and started to control my diet in my 20s, it was a bit different. But I have so much respect, and I've definitely learned through my process of just children going through food allergies. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable that the little things they do add up, and it definitely impacts your experience day to day.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine, and I just the more I talk to people and hear that experience, I'm just like, "Damn, like, you really went through it."
Yeah.
Um, I remember, a friend, most of my friends have kids at this point, and I was at one of their birthday parties, and there was a little boy that was a type 1 diabetic,
Mm.
and I was talking to his father, and it's like the same, but not with allergy, more in the restriction piece of things, and his dad goes and gets him a piece of cake and he's got like his pump and does all that for him and then just sends the kid on his way. And people are like, "Are you sure he should be eating that?" And it's just kind of like, he's fine, thank you. But the fact that he had to think about like, I have to go bring this to my dad to go make sure I'm okay, and then I can go eat it. And then I can go play, and having to just manage all of those things. It's just every once in a while that kind of pokes in my head where I'm like, poor kid couldn't even just eat a piece of cake because he wanted
That extra step
to.
that just gets added in your
Yeah.
your day to day. You always have to plan, prepare, and make sure it's going to be aligned with how you feel, and sometimes you take those risks and try to cut corners, and it
Mhm.
definitely comes back to bite you, so especially as
Oh.
a child, it's tough to I'm sure your parents are looking out for you and making sure that you don't have those corners to cut that early
Yeah.
in your life.
Yeah. Now, with your thinking again, we'll have to think back a little bit. In the not so much the beginning, but like when you were trying to find the foods that worked or the maybe breathing exercises or even just activity levels, how did that, especially with the breathing, like impact your physical activity with running? Like if you were flaring, I imagine either running in that flare could feel maybe impossible or just like really, really difficult for you.
I didn't work out often during my food journey, figuring out, going through the 6 food elimination diet, partially because I didn't know how to appropriately give myself enough nutrition to do fulfilling
Yeah.
activities, right? You need to get enough protein in, you need to hit all of the food groups. Well, what if you can't eat dairy, eggs, soy, wheat, nuts, and fish, right? That leaves just about lettuce and meat. Very
Yep.
simple diet, very effective, not to
Mhm.
dismiss, but it was really difficult balancing and navigating what I could eat so that
Mhm.
I felt sustainable and strong enough to perform activities. So candidly, I wasn't a runner before all of this, and that might be
Mm.
a limiter because of that. But now today, with my symptoms controlled, I do have the strength and ability to try activities that I'm interested in. So it's quite difficult to balance making sure you're getting enough on your plate, eating enough, and making sure you have
Yeah.
enough strength too to actually eat the food. That definitely came into play, having the balance of, do I just not eat so I don't get sick? Or do I eat and get sick and then I don't feel that great afterwards anyways? So,
Yeah.
definitely
Damned
a
if you
fine
do, damned
line.
if you don't.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it's hard. I remember when I was training for my first half marathon, I was still tube fed at the time, and, being off of tube feeds now, and I've been off for quite a few years, now when I try to incorporate, any sort of movement and running, which full transparency, it doesn't happen very often in 2026 anymore, but we'll get there. Um, it I think back, I'm like, damn, I almost missed my feeding tube because like I didn't have to force the oral intake the way that I do now to balance out like the caloric deficit that you're in to really keep your muscles fed, to keep your bones strong, to keep your body moving. And like the demand was too much and couldn't keep up. And I'm like, never thought I would miss that damn thing. But every once in a while, I really do just because of that. It does. It gets hard to balance like what those needs are. And for you, even being balanced now and feeling like you're in a good place of managing with medication and diet, do you sometimes feel like you get any sort of uptick in symptoms if maybe you eat something a little bit differently or, maybe overexert yourself too much? What does that look like now for you?
So I don't get any symptoms from my EOE directly, but I do work with some side effects from the medication I take. It's
Mhm.
called Dupixent. Some initial side effects, I'll break out into hives, especially during peak allergy
Oof.
season. I've
Oof.
noticed a hive on my leg last night, and then
Oof.
one unique it's a unique side effect, and I can't complain, I'll take it over EOE symptoms, but I have pink eye symptoms. It doesn't necessarily
Hmm.
mean I have pink eye directly, but, the dry eyes, in the mornings, and then finally
Interesting.
joint pain, which I don't know if that's related to my running or related to the medication, but again, all these things totally worth it over, being able to not digest my food with EOE. I'll take it any day to have a
Yeah.
meal, walk away feeling good.
Yeah. Now, Dupixent is an injection, if I remember correctly, right?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Now, just out of like me, I'm like, out of personal curiosity, how do you feel about injections? Because me, I get to a point where I'm like, I have to do this again. It's like you get used to it and you're like, whatever, it's once a week. But then when you have like one, two, three, four medications that are like once a week, once a month, I'm like, can I get away from these damn needles? Like, how, going from maybe never doing injections to having to do them, like, how was that? Because I was terrified. I was terrified.
I'm a year into this, and I'm still terrified of the needles. I had my dose on Sunday this week, and I threw up from the pain because I felt
Oh,
like I was gonna
no.
faint. I'm definitely on the tolerance level of like, a flu shot's a big deal for me, so being able to inject myself, that has
Yeah.
been a really big challenge facing my fears. So, some injections go really well, walk away 3
Hmm.
minutes, have a little bit of pain after the fact, but it's really just the mental aspect
Yeah.
is something I continue to struggle with. I
Yeah.
have trouble volunteering to put myself in pain and being able to pull that trigger and ignite the injection. It's just something I don't know if I'll
Yeah.
ever be able to not struggle with it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have a couple different auto injectors. So I do like some for my migraines, I have some for lupus, and everyone's a little bit different. And I'm like, one has a button, so I don't have to like push anything in, right?
Oh,
It's the
that's nice.
auto injector. You just press the button and it does it itself, and it hurts. And like, I went to do it a couple weeks ago, and I get ready to put it in my stomach, and I get there and I'm like, I can't press the button. Like, I literally, it was like my thumb stopped
Yeah.
working. I'm like, I can't press the damn button. I can't do it. And I'm yelling to my husband. I'm like, I can't do my shot. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like frozen. I've done it once a month for years, and every once in a while I just can't do it.
Yep.
And one of the other ones I have, I don't know how to like describe it really well, but there's no button. So it has like the piece on the bottom, and then it's got the actual injector on the top. So you have to like hold your skin and then push the
Yes.
top part down. So it sounds like that's similar to maybe what you have. So
Correct.
like you have to physically push the needle in, and I'm like, nope, 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 nope,
No.
nope. And I have to sit there and I'm like, don't pay attention, kick your legs, do something, do anything ridiculous out there, because those shits hurt. They
Yeah.
hurt.
The I wish I had the button. You have to push enough pressure, and I find
Yeah,
myself push pull,
yeah,
trying to just get it to click, and it has that sensation of a Jack in the Box, right? Where you're
yeah.
continually winding it up, you're adding more pressure, and you don't know when that click's gonna happen. Once you face that click, you got
Yep.
20, 25 seconds. I don't know how much yours is, but just a
Sounds
handful
about
of
right.
seconds. It's not that long. But getting to that click is
Yeah.
seriously the hardest part.
Yep.
I just it's a mental block. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'll ever be able to beat that one, but we face it and we learn from it. It definitely makes
Yeah.
I don't know about you, if it makes me stronger. I think that it instills more discipline and being
Absolutely.
able to do harder things, not doing the things I wanna do all the time, like the
Yeah.
injection, but the
Mhm.
reward after is just so worth it.
Yeah, I remember after I started my second injection medication for lupus treatment, and the first one, it hurt, but it wasn't too bad. And then I did the second one and I was like, nobody warned me. Like, I must have hit something somewhere, and I just was like in such shock at how it felt, that like
Oh,
it
yeah.
was good though, because like I didn't like mess anything up. But it's also hard when you're doing that and you have to keep the pressure on and kind
Mhm.
of like hold in that pain while you're doing it, when instinctively you want to like rip your arm away, rip it out, rip it off, and you're like, no, you can't do that. So you're going against like your mental instincts of like, pain bad, like don't stay here. So you're totally right. It's that doing that hard thing, right? Of saying like, I can do this. I've done harder. I've been through worse. Like, no one else is allowed to tell us these things, but the things we tell ourselves to get through those moments. But that one, man, I was like in 6 week mark, and I'm like, it's not helping me. I'm going through all of this for nothing. And then
Yes.
a couple months later, I was like, I didn't wake up swollen today. Like, I didn't wake up like, it was this slow roll of like, oh, I see what it's doing now. Okay, worth it. Got it. Like, good. Minimal complaining from here
After
on
the
out.
fact, right? It just it makes it worth it for me. I know everybody
Mhm.
has different values of puts and takes of what are
Yeah.
you willing to sacrifice to feel this relief and ultimately eliminate some of your symptoms, manage the chronic illness, and it's a tough deal, but it definitely counts for me.
Yeah. Now, one thing I am super curious with feeling better and not having as many restrictive symptoms anymore, and like really having to on a super strict diet, what was the most favorite thing you were able to add back into your daily diet? Like, what was that food that maybe was off
Hmm.
limits for a while that you were like so excited to have put back in?
I have so much respect for the gluten-free community. I When I couldn't eat gluten, like, the size of their bread, the
Oh
texture,
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
gluten-free community deserves more. We have work to do there, but
We
I
appreciate you.
introducing gluten back into my diet definitely,
Yeah.
took and opened a lot of doors, and then I
Mhm.
would say Chinese food, soy was one of
Oh,
my biggest triggers,
yeah.
so the flexibility there, that was fun to get takeout during, one of my first tests to see if Dupixent was effective,
Mhm.
and then finally just the oils, which I'm working on avoiding right now, but soybean oil is just about in every food
Yeah.
product in the center of the grocery store, so being
Yeah.
able to walk around that has been easier, but I don't know. I'm like, "Should I be eating that? I don't know."
Yeah, I know it's hard. I To nobody who will be listening to this episode, surprise, mine was pizza, and that's because I never shut up about
Ooh,
pizza because it's my
pizza.
favorite food. But
Yes.
it's that moment of like feeling that you can add something back, even if it might not be exactly how you remembered it, even if it's, a very specific brand or way that you've made it, or a certain place for takeout. Like maybe you can eat takeout at Chinese food place A, but not B because however they make it at A is better for you, having those choices back and really having some control back is huge. It's
Yes.
so huge because, as we all know, especially when it comes to digestive diseases as a whole, that when you lose a lot of that control, you feel like you've lost everything. You feel like you've lost so much. And to be able to get some of that back there's really nothing I can like describe of what that feeling feels like.
It it felt wrong at first. Like, should I
That makes
be
sense.
eating this? Is something going to happen? And also, I can't underestimate the fear I had when reintroducing these groups, like making breakfast in the morning and putting eggs on a pan when I haven't had eggs in
Oh,
years. It
yeah.
like, am I going to induce myself very, very sick here, or is this
Mhm.
medication going to prove its effectiveness? And we kind of have
Yeah.
to trial and test to see, if this is best for me. But it definitely felt wrong, which I don't know if
Yeah.
it really.
I get that. I get that. It's like you kind of are looking at it like you used to hurt me. Like, what are you gonna do for me today? Or what are you
Yes.
gonna do? Is this okay? It's like it feels illegal, right? Like you've been
Yes,
doing
it
this thing
does.
for so long, and it's like, all right, like you're sneaking it a little bit. Like, okay, no one saw. Like, so maybe it's okay. And it does. That's actually you. I'm like, I can't explain it. You did just so well of how to come back into something that has either hurt you or scared you or just been off limits for so long, and now you're like, I can have this? Like, no, you're just like, you're lying to me. No, I can't. And I know the first time I had like a bite of like raw vegetable, like I grew up eating raw carrots and ranch dressing. Like my grandma used to tell me I was about to turn orange because I used to just house bags of carrots. Why my eyesight's not better, I don't know, with all the carrots that I ate
Yeah,
as a kid.
right?
But, the first bite I had of like raw carrot after I had had my G poem done and things had healed and kind of settled a little bit. And I was like, I want something crunchy. I'm tired of mushy vegetables. I want something crunchy. And I was like, that was so good. It was just a freaking carrot. Like, it wasn't anything fancy, it was a freaking carrot, and I'm like,
Carrot.
"Wow," the things that you take for granted too, of, like, the things that you just were eating and didn't think anything of it, and then all of a sudden, you just don't have the ability to eat that anymore, and you're like, "Oh, shit." Like, and then you
There it
then
goes.
but you will never not appreciate food again. And that's
Yes.
something that I think anybody who has had any GI digestive issues, like when you lose that ability or you have to change something, you don't ever take for granted what you are able to do. And it's a shitty way to get there, but it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, I'm notably in my local community, friends, coworkers, I'm notably a foodie, which
Mhm.
3 years ago, I would have absolutely
Yeah.
laughed at the concept of me ever being able to be in a position to try restaurants and,
Yeah.
roam around the city and taste a bunch of foods, so I definitely don't take that for granted in any
Mhm.
way, and, it's scary to think about, but it's a possibility. One day, Dupixent may not work for me anymore, and
Yeah.
have to appreciate every day I get the chance to eat whatever I want because that might be not where I am in a couple years. So just
Yeah.
enjoying the ride as much as I can and the opportunities I get with the new fun plates and the
Yeah.
restaurants I get to try.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Now, with like your blog and what you share, Did, like, I know for me, when I started sharing a little bit more, it came from 2 places. One of I wanted to kinda meet my own people, right? Like, other people that understood, but also I wanted to help somebody maybe through something if they were feeling anything and maybe my experience could help them. Assuming that you're probably in that same realm of why you started it, what made you feel comfortable sharing? Because it's very vulnerable out here.
Yes, it is. I have a strong passion for media, videography. I found
Mhm,
that as a hobby, so trying to turn that into something I'm also passionate about, the condition I have, building awareness, education.
mhm,
When I was diagnosed, I was panicking in the grocery store, Googling what
mm.
my chart said for this specific condition. Google wasn't really helpful at the time when
No.
I was diagnosed. It just said white blood cell leukemia, which was freaking me out in the grocery store,
Yeah.
calling people I know. So I'm thinking when other people are diagnosed, how can they learn in a comfortable format? Look online, maybe run into my profile and see a real person, not just a Wikipedia page explaining the
Mhm,
textbook definition. So just adding some real experiences that I've faced and will continue to run into because it's chronic. It's not going away. It's not going anywhere. It really fired me up to create this platform so that either there can be some sort of element of I relate to what you're going through,
mhm.
or I understand this condition I was diagnosed with that I'm panicking about and calling my
Yeah.
one friend that works in the medical field to explain it to me. So those
Yeah.
2, and then, of course, building awareness. So even if you don't have EOE, it a few years ago was considered a rare condition. I read something the other week that apparently it's not anymore. So
Mm,
good and bad, but we wanna make sure that people are aware of the condition, not just because I have it directly, but, from a practice medical perspective, they can think about this in the diagnosis process because it
yeah.
definitely takes some time to get diagnosed with EOE.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially just based on like the symptoms that you described earlier and knowing my own experience with that. Immediately, I thought like, and so did my doctors thought like pulmonary, right? So we want to bring you over here. And it
Yes.
wasn't until that everything got rolled out over there, which is good. There was nothing wrong with that. It wasn't a bad decision, but it was like I had to keep pushing because I knew that we were starting down like the wrong path, right? That
Yes.
it just didn't feel like there was really anything coming out of that, but you don't know what you don't know, and if you don't know what questions to ask, if you don't know that there's other possibilities out there or what your symptoms are, and like you said, Google can be helpful sometimes, or terrifying sometimes depending on what what pops up. So, it's always really helpful, and that's how I found you. So your advocating is doing great because I
Awesome.
found you when I was looking up for other people with chronic issues and being able to do things too, because I think one of my favorite things to share when talking to people and using our platform is to show people other real people doing the damn thing,
Yeah.
right? Like whether or not it looks the same, your journeys are the same, or your diagnoses are the same, it doesn't matter. It's like you said so eloquently, like it's real people doing real things. It's not just a page with information. It's like, this is how I was able to do these things, or this is how I got my diagnosis, in a sense of this was what was going on with me that led me to a diagnosis, because we always have to be careful about, telling people like being armchair doctors. Like we all know that we like to think we all have our medical degrees, which we kind of do, but it's in sharing just our experiences, our journeys, and what we've learned along the way, I think helps so many more people than even we realize. That ripple effect is huge.
Yeah, and most of our illnesses, I'm not sure visibly if you relate to this, but they're invisible. A lot of the
Oh
things
yeah.
that we deal with are behind the scenes.
Hmm.
Mine, particularly behind the bathroom door, throwing up in the toilet.
Same.
People don't see that part, right? You don't
Yeah.
wanna do that in front of people.
Hmm.
So adding to I appear and I may look healthy to what if you ask a 6-year-old to draw a picture of what someone healthy looks like, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm healthy, and there's some
Yeah.
things behind the scenes that I work with day to day, so I think too also, yes, we can do really hard things and push our
Mhm.
bodies through it, but there's also some times where it's not my day. I'm not able
Yeah.
to get the job done.
Yeah, I've said so many times where like I can, I see myself on camera, I see myself in the videos and I'm like I show up here, I'm like you guys don't know that like I was puking yesterday
Yeah.
or that, I that my stomach I'm sitting here like, all right, how much longer cuz I got to run, or sometimes I'm like, sorry guys, in the middle of a meeting, I had to do that maybe like a month or so ago. I had to turn the camera off. I was like, sorry,
Yes.
guys. And we ran to the bathroom because I was puking my brains out. And I'm like, if this isn't the most authentically like me way to show up to a meeting about gastroparesis though, I don't know what is. But it's true. Like people see us and I remember back when I was living at home and people would see like my parents and they're like, oh, I saw Sam running the other day. She must be doing really well. And my mom's like, nah, you just caught her in a good moment, but like, okay, because it's assumed that when you can do things or when you show up or you're put together that like that means everything's okay. And maybe in that moment it is okay. But I think to show both sides of that, of what I can do, what I can't do, what's somewhere in the middle, it's just that realistic view that is so hard to see when we're either thrown one end of the spectrum of like that influencery type life of the snapshots of all the happy good things, or
Yes.
the total opposite where you feel like somebody never unfortunately has a good day. It's like I feel for those people and I want to help those people, but I'm like, I don't live on that end of the spectrum either. Where are my gray area people? And you don't fit anywhere. And it's been really great just for me personally to meet other people who are in that messy middle as well.
Definitely. And even behind the scenes on the blog too, another thing people may not see if you just click onto my profile, the conversations I'm having in my DMs with individuals getting diagnosed, having questions, not a medical professional, so I definitely put that in the forefront of my message,
Hmm.
but at least sharing these are the things I do know, these are the things I lived through. Let me try to comfort you in a way so
Yeah.
that you have the strength to go through the process, have direction on where to take it next, but it's not necessarily a square on a part of my profile that people get to see, but definitely something that I enjoy with the blog and platform I have today.
Yeah, no, it's great. People like you are doing such amazing work on a level that I think like our medical professionals or even some of like the larger advocacy organizations don't see because while we understand like we're still relatively small on the like organizational scale, but sometimes I feel like we have these really intimate conversations with other people that the large organizations aren't able to have. And that's where we can fill the gaps where the medical professionals can't talk to other people about their symptoms all day long, right? Like maybe they need it, but they just can't do it. The larger organizations, they're doing great big work, but there's gaps and that's where we can come in to help, maybe hold someone's hand a little bit, direct them to a resource, or just say like, I get it, I hear you, I see you, what you're feeling is valid, and I don't want you to go through this alone. And that means so much. I know when I have felt that from other people, and we just hope that we can continue being that for other people too, because it sucks to be sick and it sucks when food hates you. Like
Sucks so
there's no
bad.
getting around that. But I thank you so much for chatting with me. I love your story and just everything that you're doing is just so great for awareness. And I know I had mentioned the first time we chatted that like I knew what it was, but I didn't really understand like all of the details. So now if and when we have anybody coming in with a diagnosis, we know exactly where to send them for some information and a little bit of comfort too. So thank you for sharing everything with me today.
Thanks for having me, Samantha.